Hey everybody, welcome back to Jim's Garage. In this video I want to tell you about a tool that's helped me no end in my home lab, especially when I'm trying to test multiple devices at the same time. Now it's not just useful in a home lab, this is probably more akin to a workspace environment, and I'm talking about a KVM. Now fortunately TESmart did reach out to me and ask if I wanted to use this device, and I couldn't be lucky enough as it was the time at which I was going to be doing multiple device testing my previous video using iGPUs. Now this device was excellent because it enabled me to basically do lots of different testing at the same time, manage lots of different machines as though I'm physically connected to them, and then basically seamlessly set it up so that I could do remote sessions if needed. Now you might be thinking, why do I need a KVM? Well, strictly speaking, you don't have to have one, but it does make administration much easier. And now you can use things like a KVM on both physical devices and even virtual devices, especially if you're doing things like hardware pass-through. It's going to give you the exact same setup as if you were to plug a keyboard and mouse and a monitor in, but with all the convenience of simply touching a single button. Now this TESmart device is a little bit special. The one I got here is obviously the YouTuber top model, but there are smaller models available that have the same features, just you can connect fewer PCs. So let's have a quick look through the specification and I'll tell you what's special about this. So having a look at the device physically, on the front we've got a headphone jack and then we've got two USB ports running at 5 gigabits, one's USB-A and one's USB-C. Next up we've got the LCD, which will show you which channel you're on chiefly, as well as the devices you've got connected to it. The buttons are quite simple, 1 to 4 are your inputs, and then you've got some other settings such as which display you want to output to, as well as switching those displays round, and then also you've got some handy security features whereby you can lock audio, you can lock the USB, and you can lock the KVM itself to prevent people from changing the input. It does have an infrared sensor, so you can do this remotely, and also a power button on the end. Now one other important feature of this device is USB pass-through, and you might be thinking, why would you want that? That'll become clear in a moment, but basically USB pass-through will enable the device to be exposed directly to the underlying machine, and that's great for latency sensitive applications or maybe things like a keyboard and mouse if you're gaming. And as I said, this is a premium product, and this device does support 4K 120Hz variable refresh rate and G-Sync compatible, and it's also HDR. So you're getting the full benefits of HDMI 2.1, so you could run multiple gaming monitors, etc. through this. You could have multiple gaming machines attached to this one single KVM, and you should get awesome performance. Now looking at the rear device, we've got the 12-volt barrel connector. We've got a Ethernet cable as well because we can actually plug this into a switch or router to give the devices as well Ethernet access. We've then got the keyboard and the mouse USB ports, and again those are what I was talking about where we can do pass-through for them. We've got another couple of 5 gigabit USB-A ports on the back. And then we've got the two ports that are going to plug potentially into your physical monitors. That's the output A and output B. The rest in the orange boxes are all the respective machines you want to plug this in, physical or virtual, and it's a simple process of plugging in the supplied USB and HDMI cables into the respective machines. So effectively output A and B would go into your monitor, and then input A's and B's on the orange boxes would go into the respective devices. Then when you press the button, you can see that it's going to seamlessly fail over to those devices. Now let's head over to the website and that'll give you an overview of the specific capabilities of this device. Now the version that was sent to me is this one here, it's the 402, but if you hover over the new releases, there's many different ones you can choose from. Essentially, you can choose the size that you want, i.e. for the number of machines you've got, but also the key connector that you've got, either DisplayPort 1.4 or HDMI 2.1. Now, what we can connect to this is pretty much up to you, anything really that supports USB or HDMI, and the key features here really are this thing is very high performance in terms of what you're probably used to for a KVM. So for example, it's got EDID, which is the key real selling point for this. EDID stands for Extended Display Identification Data. What that means is it basically spoofs the monitors that are attached to the devices and pretends to keep those live to the machines that are on the other end. So instead of when you switch over on the KVM, the device having to basically negotiate and recognize what it is, the computer should never really realize that the monitor's been disconnected because it's being emulated. That's why in my demonstration when I was switching between monitors, it was pretty quick compared to what you usually know on a normal KVM. Now I get it, this is very expensive for any home labber, and that's why I said this is probably positioned more for a enterprise setup or small medium business. But if you do look at the other options they've got, for example, the 2 PCs and 2 monitors, it's much more reasonable. And they also have a sale on here, plus it's also on Amazon Prime, I believe, at the moment. So if you are interested in getting one, I definitely recommend this device from the time that I've had with it, and it does seem to give you premium features. And so if you are a big spender when it comes to gaming, you might have multiple rigs, multiple monitors, this should support all the refresh rates that you're going to need, so 4K 120Hz and up to 144 with DSC enabled. Do note that as you up the resolution and the refresh rate, there is a greater delay between switching between devices, and you can see that noted here with 3 to 5 seconds versus sort of the 1 second for a 1080p. Importantly, it does support multiple monitor modes, so just like you're probably used to with a single device whereby you might want to duplicate or extend screens, etc., that can also be done through this KVM, which is a unique feature if you're more used to sort of the enterprise KVMs. And here, just in a game, you can see that I'm running this at 165 on my 1440p monitor. I don't actually have a 4K 144Hz monitor. And similarly, here is a 4K monitor, but this is only capped at 60 FPS. That's the max I've got. But both of the monitors I've tested on are G-Sync compatible, and both of them display G-Sync compatible when I put this through. So that was good to see. I will obviously update this in the future when I do upgrade my monitors and GPUs, etc., to test out HDMI 2.1. But from this, it looks good, but obviously this is not conclusive of it working as advertised. One thing to note is this is not an iKVM, so you can't remote into this much like you might do, say, a Pi KVM or something like that. This is a different product. It would be great if it did have that capability, but that's just not in this device. If you do want something that's more sort of remote access, then go and look at those kind of devices, those with sort of internet connectivity that are designed specifically around remote access. So let me know if this is something that you're going to be thinking about purchasing, whether you've been using KVMs before, whether you're more used to them in the enterprise space, and how this one might elevate that user experience. I'm keen to know. Anyway, as always, if you've liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.